When you hire a new team member and it doesn't work out, you feel frustrated and disappointed and discouraged by the time that you've wasted. You'll likely be feeling nervous about the potential impact it's going to have on your firm and your team and also your future hiring decisions. Because of all these thoughts and feelings swirling around, you'll be tempted to do one, if not all of the following. You'll hire really fast to fill the space. You'll delay hiring due to nerves from the bad experience you've just had. You'll rely on a recruiter to find you a candidate before they've really taken the time to get to know you or your firm or your values. You'll hire at the wrong level because you're panicking about the resource gap that's been created. Or you'll blame the team member who's left instead of taking some responsibility for what you can do to better the process. Before hiring again, you need to take the time to turn these thoughts and feelings into learnings so you only hire the best people for your accounting firm in the future. Where do you get your best headspace? So by headspace, I mean real proper space to think and process hard things in life. For me, it's when I'm out for a walk or doing yoga. I don't have any distractions from my phone or work or the computer or TV or people. And that's where I take the time to let my thoughts mull over and work through anything difficult that I'm thinking about. So wherever your best headspace is, you need to consciously set aside time to have it, and in it, ask yourself these good, hard questions. What were the flags? So what made that little bell go off in your head that was a red flag? What just didn't feel right? Dig into the why. Don't just trust your gut on this one. You need to know why it was a flag so that you can fix it for the future. What flags did you pretend weren't there? Be honest with yourself about which ones you deliberately didn't pay attention to because you wanted the candidate to work out so badly. Did you skip a step in your process? So did you make allowances for the perfect candidate? For example, if you asked them to send a video back with their tester project explaining how they approached it and the final work that they've sent in, and they don't, did you let them go forward in the process anyway? Is it that you're missing a step? So was it that there was a lack of skills for the role? You need to test their skills at some stage in your hiring process. You could do this by introducing a tester project. So this will be tailored depending on the role that they will be doing at your firm, and it will be a task which they would be completing if they were to be in that role. Was it that their values didn't match your firm's values? You and your whole team need to live up to your values every single day. And if you hire somebody who doesn't, it will create doubt for prospects and other team members, and they'll start to question whether you are for real or not. You can test values through a value analysis form, whereby you ask them how they were matched to your values and to give examples of how they show that. You could also ask questions in an interview. You wouldn't ask directly, do you match our value of whatever it is, but you can ask questions around it. So for example, one of PS values is be gracious. We wouldn't ask somebody in an interview, are you a gracious person? Of course, they're going to say yes if they'd like to work at PF because it's one of our core values. So instead, we might ask something like, tell us about a time you felt angry about something. The way they answer that question and the way they approach the feeling of anger would show us whether they lived into the graciousness value. Transparency is key when it comes to your hiring process. Where are they transparent with you? Again, don't ask them if they're a transparent person. You need to dig deep and find out. For example, you could say in an interview, tell us about a time you struggled to prioritize your workload. If they replied with, that's never happened to me, I managed to prioritize my workload every single day perfectly, then you know they're not being transparent with you, because every human being finds it difficult at times to prioritize their workload. Instead, you might say, I take 30 minutes a couple of times a week to look at my workload and assess what needs done when and put it in a priority list. That's a more human, transparent answer. Were you transparent with them? Did you manage their expectations? Don't ever overpromise policies or downplay their responsibility. All that will happen is they'll join, they'll feel overwhelmed or annoyed, and then they'll leave because the expectations you set were different from the reality. Do this whole exercise with your team. They'll also have worked with the team member and had the same experience as you, so their input is really valuable when it comes to using these learnings to improve your process going forward. Now, when I said to you to involve your team, how did you feel about that? Did that make you feel nervous? Did you have any fears about that? Was there somebody who popped into your head that you felt worried about? What makes you think that? Lean into any of those thoughts and explore what your gut is saying, because it could be that actually other existing team members also aren't living into your values. Now you're ready to turn your thoughts into learnings. So to start, your hiring process must be 1, documented. It needs to be formalized and every team member needs to get full training on it. It needs to be based on your values. So that's both at the hiring stage, but also keep monitoring them even after they become a team member. At their 3-month or 6-month or 9-month check-ins, have some kind of value analysis form whereby you work through to check that they're still living and working into the values, and if not, where you can make improvements. Test everything they say. So this is from the tester project that I mentioned earlier. You could get references and you can ask deep, hard questions at the interview stage. When it comes to hiring, you're looking for patterns. So just because one person hasn't worked out, it doesn't mean your whole hiring process needs to change. It might be that you know exactly why it didn't work out and you've identified the problem and you've already fixed it. That's great. I would encourage you to still question everything just to make sure you aren't missing something. Always have professional skepticism. You might think somebody's the absolute perfect candidate and you want to push them through the process even quicker and skip steps and get them in ASAP. This is your opportunity to slow down and dig deep. Ask them challenging questions and don't get emotionally attached to them. They need to go through the full process. Be careful about your gut. So as one of our client marketing managers said recently, when you have a gut feeling, stop and investigate it. What feels off? How can I explain the feeling besides it just being my gut? What facts do I actually have? It's not because your gut's not right, it may well be. It's so that you can use your learnings for the future and they're based on more than just a feeling. You can also keep adjusting your process, and I'd encourage you to do so. The PF 7-stage hiring process has been crafted over many years and many experiences. You craft a process to look for patterns, and so as patterns change, your process will need to be tweaked as well. For example, at the group interview stage of the PF hiring process, when I joined the team back in October 2020, I had an interview with, at that time, the whole team. It was quite a relaxed, casual conversation. We had some good banter and good chat, and questions went both ways. Now we've got 11 people in our team. And we realised that actually, 1, it's too big an interview in terms of it's not the best use of our team's time. And 2, it can be quite overwhelming for the candidate for 11 PF team members to rock up at your interview. So we made some tweaks. We now have only 4 to 5 PF team members at every interview. We have a designated interview leader who briefs questions to the rest of the team, which they have chosen based on what we've seen from the video and the tester project. And we set the expectations with the applicant that it will be a formal interview. We haven't changed a whole step in our process. We've just made adjustments accordingly. Just those little small tweaks. The main purpose of your hiring process is to help you find out everything so you can decide if that candidate is right for your firm and if you are the right fit for them. It's not always going to work perfectly, and you can't take it personally when it doesn't. You need to use your learnings to improve the process again and again so you only hire the best team members for your firm. You can join our PF Lab and come along to our hiring training sessions for free. We cover the importance of values and skills in your hiring process and also how to craft your own process. I'd love to see you there. Thanks so much for listening.